Welcome to today's webinar, Accuro Hacks, Time-Saving Tips and Tricks. My name is Mandy, and I'm the Senior Product Trainer here on the training team. I started with QHR on the training team in the spring of 2020, and I train on the advanced EMR courses in Ontario, Nova Scotia, and Alberta billing. I also help to create some of the content for our Accuro resources page. Today's event is live, and the training team is standing by to answer your questions. The chat has been disabled, so please ask your question using the Q&A button at the top of the Teams meeting. Once selected, you'll have the question and answer pane open on the right side of your window. Just click on Ask a Question to get started. When you see New Post, click on it to see the newly posted question. When the training team has answered the question, you'll see Show One New Comment underneath the question. Click on Show One New Comment to open the conversation. Sit back and enjoy today's event. There's no need to take notes as the presentation is being recorded and will be available on the Accuro resources site for your future reference. During today's webinar, I will review some helpful tips and tricks for each section of Accuro and cover some miscellaneous tips at the end. I'm logged into Accuro as a provider user in an Ontario database, and I'll start in the Home section. A helpful feature related to mail messages and tasks is the out-of-office notification. This works similar to an email out-of-office notice and is found by going to the Accuro Start menu, selecting Users, and then Out-of-Office Notification. This allows you to let others know when you're out of the office if someone tries to send you a mail message or a task. A start date, an end date, and a notification message can be added to this window. Double-clicking into any date field will open a calendar. So I'll start by adding my start date and my end date. And it's helpful to add in your notification message if you have access to Accuro or not. Once you're finished, click OK to save. Once the notification is turned on, a blue calendar icon will display beside your username in the task and mail message window. Hovering the mouse over top of the calendar icon will display a tooltip with the dates and the notification message. A quick trick here to highlight all recipients is to use the Windows keyboard shortcut Control and the letter A to highlight all. As the sender, I can still continue with my task. And when I click OK to send the task, I'm going to get a pop-up to let me know that I've included an out-of-office recipient. From here, I can choose to include the out-of-office recipient by using the Send To checkbox, which is defaulted to include the out-of-office user. If you set an out-of-office notification, the next time you log into Accuro, you will be prompted to clear that notification. You'll see this pop up as soon as you log into Accuro. At any time, you can also go back to the Accuro Start menu, Users, and Out-of-Office Notification, and clear your notification either by hitting the Clear button or the Delete button. Now we'll take a look at the task inbox. If a task is sent to multiple recipients, you can check it out to let other users know you're working on it. This adds a symbol to the checked out column. To do this, open the task by double-clicking on it and clicking the Check Out button, and then OK to save and close the window. Now a symbol is added to the checked out column, and a message displays at the bottom of the task with the date and the time. When another user checks out a task, you'll see this symbol in the checked out column, and when you click on it, you can see who checked it out and when. You can create tasks for yourself for the future by giving the tasks a due date. This allows you to send reminders to yourself. These reminders do not have to be patient-related. For example, if you're responsible for updating the message on the phone system when the office is closed, you can create a future task reminder for yourself. The due date for any task that has already been assigned can be changed. You can do this by opening the task and using either the due date dropdowns or the calendar to set a date. So if I want this task to show up in my inbox before the next holiday, I can change that date to August 1st and click OK to save. My inbox is set to overdue, so I'll see that task in my inbox on August 1st. A time-saving trick is knowing how to create recurring tasks if reminders are needed at set intervals. Instead of creating several separate tasks with specific due dates, you can create one task and tell Accuro you want to see it in your inbox at a set interval. For example, if I do a supply order every 3 weeks, I can create one recurring task to remind myself. I'll start by opening my new task window, and I can set my task type and add a quick message. And then I can use this recurring field down at the bottom to set my intervals. If this is not visible, just click the expand button here on the right-hand side. I'm going to tell Accuro I want to see this task every 3 weeks until the end of the year. If the inbox filter is set to all tasks instead of overdue, we can see any task set for a future date. If the first of the recurring tasks is completed, instead of it being removed, we'll see it here marked as unread with the next due date, which is 3 weeks from today. My last task-related tip is how to bulk reassign tasks. This is helpful if a user is going on an extended leave or is leaving the clinic completely. Task reassignment can only be done by system administrators. So we'll go to that Accuro Start menu and select Users. Only system administrators will see these bottom 3 options. And from here, I'll select Reassign Tasks. In the From dropdown, select the user the tasks are currently assigned to. Then in the To dropdown, select who the tasks will be reassigned to. If needed, you can also use the Do After and Do Before dates. This is useful when the original task owner is only gone for a specific period. So when dates are added here, only affected tasks will be reassigned, meaning only tasks with due dates that fall into your date range will be included in the reassign. To include all tasks, just leave these date fields blank and click the Reassign button. Let's move on to the scheduler. A helpful tip is knowing how to book off an entire day for a provider. This can be done by right-clicking and selecting Book Day Off from the menu. This will create a no patient appointment for the entire day. The benefit of using this option is that appointments can never be overwritten by appointment suggestions, which are these colored fields on the scheduler used to indicate the types of appointments that can be booked in each time slot. So even if a suggestion or a suggestion template is applied to this day, the booked day off appointment will remain and the template will be underneath and visible only if the appointment is deleted. Another benefit to this is that the appointment can be opened by double-clicking on it, and a note can be added that will display on the scheduler below day off. To remove this, just right-click and select Cancel Appointment. Since there's no patient attached, delete will be the only option. There may be instances where you need to create appointments for a group of patients. This can be done by right-clicking and selecting Create Group Appointment from the menu. A key distinction between a group appointment and a single patient appointment is that group appointments do not generate claims. The group appointment window still has many of the same fields as the regular appointment window. You can select your type, your reason, and you can add notes. And the Add button here in the bottom right corner is used to open the patient search field, and you can add as many patients as needed. If you're using patient cohorts, which is a list of patients created in the patient section or the query builder, you can select the entire list by clicking Add Patient Cohort and then choosing the cohort you want to add. If you need this appointment to display in multiple provider schedules, you can use the Add button here in the bottom left corner in the Physicians pane to add another provider. When you're finished adding all your information, just click OK to save. The number of patients added to this appointment will display in the top right-hand corner. To arrive these patients or add a confirm or no-show status, double-click on the appointment to open it and right-click on the individual patient's name. An A will display to the left of the patient's name, indicating that arrived status. And when the appointment is closed, you can see how many patients have been marked as arrived on the right. Group appointments can also be used to create appointments for one patient with multiple providers. And this is done by using the single patient appointment checkbox. You'll notice that this checkbox is only selectable when there's only one patient in your patient's pane. So if I just highlight all of these patients and remove them, I can select my single patient appointment checkbox. When this option is selected, a claim will be created for this appointment for each provider listed in the physician's pane. My last schedule tip is the keyboard shortcut to mask all patient names on the scheduler. This is done by using Control, Alt, and S. This will hide all patient names and remove your globally loaded patient. This is helpful if you need to show someone the scheduler and don't want them to see all the patient information that's normally visible. To unmask, just use Control, Alt, S again. Now we'll head into the patient section. A helpful feature here is the Sounds Like search. The patient section is the only place in Accuro where this feature exists. It lets you search for patients phonetically using these name fields at the top. This is helpful if you're listening to a voicemail and having a hard time finding your patient. In the patient section, you always want to press either F1 or the clear button down here to remove your globally loaded patient before starting a search. And then I can use the name field and click my Sounds Like search button, and any results will display in this window on the right. Another helpful tip is knowing how to add additional fields. Anywhere you see this green Add button here on the left, an additional field can be added. For example, if a patient has more than one address, like a student that has a different address in the summer than during the school year, you can click the Add button and add a second address field. The Notes field here can be used to indicate why there's more than one address. This is a free type field or a drop-down list that can be managed. The blue arrows on the left can be used to reorder the address fields, and if the additional field is no longer needed, the red X can be used to remove it. Over time, you may find that patients get added to your database twice. Users with the appropriate permission can merge these patients together. What this does is it takes all the appointment, billing, and EMR items and combines them into one chart. The important thing to know about this process is that the demographic information for your second patient selected will remain. I like to think about this as if the first patient chosen goes inside the second patient. So we'll start by searching for our first patient that we want to merge. And I want to make sure I'm choosing the one that has the least amount of demographic information. And then I'll click the Merge button at the bottom of the patient section. If you don't see this button, your user account does not have permission to merge. The globally loaded patient automatically becomes patient 1, and then I can use the search field to search for my second patient and press Enter to open the results window. If I happen to choose the same patient as patient 1, I will get a pop-up message to let me know. Once I've chosen a unique patient, I can click the Merge button to continue, and I can say yes to the prompt here. Moving on to the Documents section, a few helpful settings can be found when clicking the Options button here in the lower right corner. The first one I want to talk about is the Use Single Provider drop-down setting. When this is turned on, only one provider is selectable in the provider dropdown on the right. When this setting is turned off, there are checkboxes next to the providers' names, allowing you to send a document to multiple providers. So this could be helpful if one provider is covering for another and orders a test. The document can easily be sent to both providers to review. Another setting that I recommend all users turn on is the Do Not Permanently Delete Documents, Move Documents to a Deleted Subfolder. This means that any document that you press the Delete button at the top or you right-click and select Delete is not gone forever. It's moved to a subfolder within whichever folder the document section was set to. Something important to know about this setting is how to empty that deleted subfolder. What many users don't know is that a full deleted subfolder will actually slow down the document section, as all the documents in that subfolder are also being loaded in the background. When the deleted folder gets too full, there will be a notification message that displays at the bottom of the document section. For all users logging in through Accuro Cloud, the fax and scan folder typically live in the shared drive. This can be found by going to the Citrix storefront page and clicking on that Windows Explorer icon to open the Explorer window. This is the easiest way to access the shared drive. So you'll locate your shared drive here and double click on it to open it. Depending on your setup, you may also have a Ready for Accuro folder. And if multiple folders are being used in the document section, each one of these will have a deleted subfolder. So you'll double click on the folder that you want to open, and you'll find a folder in there labeled deleted. The deleted folder can be opened, and items can be permanently deleted using the right-click menu. You can also find anything in here that you want to restore and cut and paste it back into that parent folder to allow it to be filed to a patient's chart. My last document tip is how to modify something that has been sent to a provider or filed to the chart. So if you send a document to the wrong chart or you happen to hit File instead of Send to Provider, this can be fixed from the virtual chart. From the document section, you can use F3 or the Patient Summary Quick Action button to open the virtual chart in its own window. You'll locate your document and then right-click on it and select Modify, and you'll see a list of all the things that can be modified, including the patient, date, type, and provider. A helpful option when modifying the provider is this Send to Provider checkbox. When this is selected, the document will be sent to the provider's inbox for review. And in this case, we're going to resend it and see that that review date gets removed, and it's now showing as in the provider's inbox. Providers have similar options to modify documents from their documents inbox. They can right-click on a document and change the priority or modify the type, provider, or patient. Now we'll head into the EMR section and take a look at the Encounter Notes tab. A user preference that I like to highlight is deciding how this middle section is sorted. This can be sorted either by date with your newest items at the top, or it can be sorted by category, which uses the categories from the electronic drawer. These buttons on the top right corner are used to change the sort. The electronic drawer where you open your note templates and forms also contains a search field down at the bottom. This is used to quickly keyword search all template and form names. To clear your search, just remove any text from that search field. Notes and other items can be linked to a diagnosis listed in your history of problems by selecting it from the diagnosis dropdown. When diagnosis linking is utilized, you can filter the Encounter Notes tab by a specific diagnosis, so only linked items display. Additional items can be linked to a diagnosis by using this link button above the history bands. You'll start by selecting your diagnosis from the drop-down list, and then you can choose your items to link. So for example, if we wanted to filter by hypertension, there may be some specific lab result types that we want to display. So we'll just click the green Add button in our lab test types and choose the results that we want to display. You'll want to make sure to click Apply to save the changes before closing this window. To turn the filter on, we'll just right-click on it in the history of problems and select filter by problem. The diagnosis will be highlighted here to indicate that the filter is turned on, and now we're only seeing items that have been linked to that diagnosis. To turn the filter off, we'll right-click again and select Remove Filter by Problem. Another tip I find many users are not aware of is that manually entered lab results can be edited. This is helpful if a lab is entered incorrectly or in the wrong chart. So if you create a lab and you had the imperial units checkbox selected, but you actually entered the kilogram value and saved it, that result is now going to be incorrect. This can be fixed by clicking the Edit button just above the lab summary. A window will open asking you to select the test that you want to edit. And when you click OK, the most recent lab results entry window will open. If this is not the right one, just use the blue arrows at the top to get to the correct collection date. Then you can make your change and hit the Apply button to save. If the lab was entered in the wrong chart, it can be deleted by using the red X button. And then you'll say yes to the Confirm pop-up. Another feature I find a lot of users don't know about is the history logs for notes. Anytime a note is opened and edited, that history is logged. This can be found in the Tools menu in the Notes window under Letter History. Each instance the note was edited is available in this drop-down menu. Anything newly added is highlighted in green, and anything removed is marked in red. If you want to review a note, but you don't need to make any changes, you can just click the magnifying glass button in the right-hand corner there and open a preview of that window. Now we'll move into the virtual chart. A helpful tip is how to fax only selected pages in a multi-page document. This can be useful if previous charts were uploaded as a single item. You can right-click on your document and select Fax. And in the Recipients window, you'll use this Page Selection button, which is this blue piece of paper here. And this will allow you to select which pages to include by clicking and dragging the pages that you don't want onto the Removed Pages pane. You can also use the Page Selection field at the bottom to include all the pages that you want to include, and make sure to separate them by a comma and press the Enter button to finalize your selections. So depending on how big your document is, this may be more efficient than clicking and dragging. Clicking OK will save those selections, and before faxing, you can always use the Preview button to confirm that you've included the correct pages. For users with patient messaging, you can quickly start a new message with an attachment by right-clicking on a document and selecting Send to Patient. This will open a new patient message for your globally loaded patient with the attachment selected in the Attachments window. If needed, you can add additional attachments by selecting them here or just clicking OK to include the item that you right-clicked on. Then add a subject and a message, and this will be ready to send to your patient. Send to Patient is also available in the right-click menu in Encounter Notes and in the Documents and Labs inboxes. So let's move on to some miscellaneous tips and tricks. A tip I often share is how to create a custom label. Accuro comes with several labels built in, but they may not always meet your needs. All built-in labels can be found by going to the Accuro Start menu, selecting File, and then Print Label. Custom labels are created in the Label Wizard. You'll always start by giving your label a name. And the Label Wizard utilizes tags, which are found by right-clicking in the line where you want the tag to appear. So in this case, we'll want our label to start with our patient's name. Tags do not assume punctuation, so make sure to add a space before pulling in the last name tag. I can add some appointment information, like the appointment date. and the appointment time. I can add a note about our cancellation policy and then add our office phone number. A preview of your label will display in that bottom right-hand corner, and the formatting can be adjusted using these buttons. So if I want that note about our cancellation policy to be bolded, I can select the font button and choose bold. And then there's some additional preferences you can set at the bottom. You can choose to share this label or not. You can have it prompt for the number of copies to print. You can center the entire label, make it an appointment label, and set your default print count. When you're finished, just click the Add button to add it in, and then you can close the label wizard. The newly saved label will be available in the Accuro Start menu below those built-in labels. And because we made this an appointment label, you can right-click on the scheduler and select Labels, and you'll see it there right at the bottom. If you don't see your new label right away, just log out of Accuro and back in. Any user can change the label that prints when you double-click in that demographic status bar. This is done by going to User Preferences. So we'll return to that Accuro Start menu, select File, then User Preferences, and we'll choose the Labels button here at the bottom. And the label is set in this status bar label dropdown. Here you're going to see all of the built-in labels as well as any custom labels you've created in the label wizard. This allows each user to set the label that best works for them. Anytime you're changing your user preferences, make sure to press Apply and then OK to close the window. A helpful tip is knowing how to find all the contacts added to the address book. The address book can be opened from the Accuro Start menu. It can be opened by using the keyboard shortcut Alt and F2 or by using the Quick Action button. To find everything that's been added, just search using the %sign. And this will load all contacts, pharmacies, providers, and insurers into this results pane on the right. You can highlight all contacts by using Control and the letter A, and then you can use the Windows keyboard shortcut Control C and paste that information into a Word document or a spreadsheet. This can be helpful if you're trying to locate duplicate entries. Some duplicate entries can be merged, like providers and pharmacies. I'm going to start by going over how to merge providers first, as this can be done from the address book. Merging providers works the same way as merging patients. The first provider selected goes into the second one, and the demographic information of the second provider selected is what remains. When providers are merged, all instances are replaced with the merged provider, so you don't have to worry about updating the referring provider for all patients with either instance. So we'll start by going into the Provider tab. If your user account does not have permission to merge providers, you will not see this Merge button down at the bottom. To start, we'll search for and select the provider that we want to be our provider 1, and you'll want to make sure to choose the provider that has the least amount or incorrect demographic information. Then we'll click the Merge button and use that provider 2 field to search and press Enter. And then we'll click Merge and Yes to the confirmation pop-up. You also have the ability to merge pharmacies. This is done outside the address book. This feature is found by going to that Accuro Start menu and typing Merge into the search field and selecting Merge Pharmacy Address Book. Pharmacies are searched for by their fax number. And once you click the Search button, any matching results will display in this results pane. You can also choose to include inactive pharmacies by checking the inactive box at the bottom. And then you'll want to highlight all pharmacies that you want to include in your merge. You can do this by clicking and dragging or holding down the Control key and clicking. You can change the name of the newly merged pharmacy using this field at the top. And you can use these checkboxes to add the name of the merged pharmacy as an alias and include all the aliases of the merged pharmacies. These aliases allow you to search for a pharmacy by an alternate name just like patient aliases. When you're ready, just click the Merge button and Yes to confirm. My last tip for today is about chart sheets, which are forms that are saved in the chart sheet category and can be opened quickly by pressing F9. There is an additional keyboard shortcut, which is Control and F9, which allows you to print a chart sheet for all scheduled patients. This can be done from anywhere in Accuro. You can select the provider and the date range that you want to include. And this would be helpful if all patients are to complete the same form. For example, a provider that does all of their consults or meet and greets on the same day, you can easily print all of their intake forms in just a few clicks. All right, so before we check out our Accuro resources page, I'd like to let everyone know that we will be posting a survey. We appreciate you attending today and do value your feedback, so please take a few minutes to share your thoughts on how we did. You should see the survey pop up now. If you don't see this pop up, please click on the chat icon at the top of the Teams meeting and click View Poll on the right-hand side. The survey will remain open until the end of today's session. To learn more about Accuro workflows, please visit our Accuro resources page, which is found by going to the website accuroemr.com/support. Here you'll find all of the help and support that you need. You can use the search field at the top to keyword search for our help articles. You can browse by topic by using these buttons, or you can use the chat button here in the bottom right to open the chat bot and ask a question. This is an AI-powered tool that searches through the available resources to provide an answer. It will also display a link to the resource used to answer your question. You can select any of these icons to take you to a specific resource. So if you click Explore Training Options, it will open the training page where you can view all of the training resources available. Here you can find our current promotion. You can learn about Accuro performance training in the Accuro Learning Academy. You can find the link to our latest webinar recording. You can learn about one-on-one expert-led training. You can also view our tech tips and read about practice consultants. Just going to head back to that main page. And as I scroll down, you can see this main page also has links to learn more about AI within Accuro. And this takes you to the AI tools section of the Clinic Tools page. To find additional tools, just hover over Clinic Tools at the top, and you'll find links to our various Engage products and other vendors. The Accuro Resources main page also contains links to our commonly used support articles, including the self-serve password reset and keyboard shortcuts. And from here, you can also fill out the feedback form to share your thoughts on the new Accuro user interface. At the bottom, you'll find the contact information for our wonderful client services team, along with their regular hours of support for each province. Thank you again for attending, and I hope everyone enjoyed today's presentation and learned something new.